And here we are on Entomb Valley, and in the upper right-hand corner, we have our yellow Terran player from Prime trying to do what his teammates could not. It is Maru, and his opponent in the lower right-hand corner, the guy who's taken 2 games in a row, is our purple Zerg player. He's gone from red to blue to purple. It's FXO JKS.
Red and blue make purple. Perhaps this is the third and final game in which he will win, because red and blue and purple make a shade that you can't find in StarCraft 2.
That's right. I don't even know what that would be. I'm terrible with colors.
Yeah,
Art.
I know red and blue make purple from like kindergarten, man. So.
Well, JKS for the second game is the set is going to 10 pool, and this is a little bit scarier proposition against Maru. Because Maru is a player who will command center first quite often.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just like. He has no problem being really, really, really greedy sometimes. I mean, last time I cast him, it was on Metropolis, and he did open CC first.
Oh god, he is now too.
Yep.
Okay, so CC first against 10 pool, and we'll see how aggressive this is going to be. Now, if Maru builds this on the low ground, the game's over. If he builds it on the high ground and makes a wall there and emergency repairs up a couple of structures, he has a fighting chance, although it's still going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, he can actually, like, not die, like, 100% if he builds the command center on the high ground. You may lose 4 or 5 SCVs if you're terrible. If you're a pro, like Maru, you're not going to lose, really, any SCVs. Oh, my God.
Okay, well, it's on the high ground, and he does have a spot where he can throw a barracks here and wall this off.
Yeah.
But he needs it immediately.
He's going to have it. I mean, those Zerglings are just now getting ready to pop, and he's going to... We saw him shift the command center Q point, and here it is, folks. Barracks. He's got his wall off. This makes it a little bit harder to micro the SCVs, of course, but
sure,
when you have 2 of them.
Oh boy, but look at this. FXO JKS saw the command center first and that, and what did he just do? He put down a gas. Now, I don't know if this is going to be gas for a quick Baneling bust, or if this is going to be because his queen is popping out, so he was planning to macro behind this, and he knows he's not going to do a ton of damage with this, but are we going to see quick speed, or are we going to see a quick Baneling nest?
If it's a Baneling nest, and this is a reaction, you know, a very abrupt reaction to what he's seeing. By the way, Zerglings are here. Maru's going to be pulling some SCVs here in just a minute as the first casualty does occur on the barracks.
Yep, 1 worker has been killed so far, but as soon as this barracks finishes up, he can pull 3 SCVs and just infinitely heal this up.
Yep.
Because he has the economy to support that.
Another one outside.
He is supply blocked, needs to wait for that command center. There it goes. Now he can start making a Marine. And this is going to get a little bit rough for JKS. He's going to sit here just because he wants to whittle away at these resources and stuff like that, but this 1 Marine is going to be enough to push this whole thing back. Yeah.
But it doesn't look like it's going to be a Baneling nest, which I'm really happy about. Because a Baneling nest just ends the game so fast. It will either end it for the Terran, or if it fails, then JKS is like going to be way too economically behind. Because a lot of times you use the Banelings to bust, and then you're inside and you have a couple Zerglings, but then they micro the Marines like perfectly behind the SCVs, and your Zerglings die, and then you've done nothing but kill a supply depot, and you're so behind. So JKS, there's the speed, there's the expansion. We have a macro game.
Okay, so not going to be over right away. Factory is coming on the way now, as Maru has actually only gone up to 1 gas, so he's going to play this a little bit slower as far as tech is concerned. We're not going to see the overwhelming cloaked Banshees right away, as the reactor's now popping on. But I want to know how aggressive he wants to be afterwards. Does he smell some sort of blood? Does he feel like he can go for a quick Marauder Hellion play like we saw Polt do at IPL 5? Or does he want to play this just a little bit longer term? We'll see very soon if he decides to put up a 3rd command center, which way he goes.
Yeah, I mean, he does have the reactor. I mean, all right, 3rd command center, in fact. So Hellions, you know, they're really nice at maintaining map control. JKS did get speed, which is definitely noteworthy, but, you know, investing into that speed means he's not going to be making roaches anytime soon, and that's just great for Maru.
Okay, well, Maru, is he up to his 2nd gas? He is. He's got a starport on the way. Tech lab being constructed, so he will be able to move into Banshees momentarily. And JKS is just now transferring drones over to a 2nd hatchery, so... You know, some people newer to the game may look at this and think, oh, well, you know, our Zerg player has higher supply. He's going to be doing fine. No! Maru is actually in an amazing position. As a Zerg player, you want to maintain... it's not as important to necessarily maintain a base advantage anymore because Zerg players have been going for higher tech, but you at the very least want to be on the same amount of bases as your opponent. With 3 command centers in play, Maru's economy is going to skyrocket.
Yeah, here's the other thing. Maru's going to be able to take that third a lot faster with the Hellion Banshee. It's an extremely controlling... It's kind of like going blue-white, Kevin, if you're an MTG player. You know, you really maintain dominance and presence everywhere, and so you just control the hell out of your opponent. Whereas, you know, if you go for medevac play, it takes a lot longer to get to the medevacs and Marines, and that's when you can move out with your third. But in this situation, it's Entombed Valley. He's going to be able to take that pretty quick. I don't expect it right away, but once he feels like he's got JKS on lockdown, he should go over and grab that.
Okay, well, Maru now, with all of his tech in play, with all of his economy coming up, is in a pretty decent spot. The Spine Crawlers are just now coming up, so this is going to be very difficult for JKS to hold. And look at that, 3 Hellions already making their way into the main to try and pick off a few additional workers. And they see the quick layer tech, everything is revealed. They see the Roach Warren, and I'm not sure if this was intended to be Nidus play here in just a bit, but in any case, Maru is certainly going to be ready for any sort of weird tricks. And actually, that ends up getting canceled, so not going to be a Roach Warren, going to be a Spire.
Oh, look at Maru's reaction to this. He does not seem the least bit deconcerned. He's, wow. Okay, he just followed that up with a double engineering bay. I mean, now he's going to throw down a couple of racks so he can get some ground units out, of course, because you don't really want Hellions versus Roaches, but we'll see. I mean, that's a good reaction, actually, for JKS's position, because he canceled the Roach Warren.
Yeah, but JKS is playing from a huge disadvantage now. And he's kind of going after one emergency maneuver after another to get things ready to roll. And his last emergency maneuver is going to be the Spire, which is up. But it's not going to be there in time to be able to deflect double Banshees, which could hit pretty soon if Maru so desires. Did he scan this base too? Oops, I just took JKS's view. Let's try his. No, he didn't rescan the main, so... Oh, yes, he did. Okay, so he rescanned the main, but he didn't get far enough to actually see the orbital command, but he did see enough to see the cancel of the Roach Warren.
So, saw it right as the drone was heading behind the mineral line. I mean, either way, he's got, he's switching into bio. Stim +1/+1. He's also making some Vikings. But he is delaying taking that third. We now see a Marine heading over to harass the Overlord while that's going down. He's moving around with some scans and going to be trying to clean all this up in the front of JKS space.
Okay, well, with 2 Banshees here, this can put on a lot of pressure. 6 Mutalisks are now on the way, though, and that could present a problem. If JKS is able to hold this and push that back pretty cost-efficiently, there is a potential for him to do some pretty great damage in the air. 2 engineering bays are down, but, of course, we don't have a missile turret quite yet.
8 Mutalisks are going to be popping out here in a second, but I think Maru, has everything in order that he needs to deal with this. Does have Marines. You know, he's got medevacs popping out in just a second. And, I mean, you'd think with the Roach cancel, he'd be a little less prepared, but the reality is he's quite set.
Well, JKS is certainly taking appropriate risks to make his way back into this. Hatchery is up. He's going for a 4th base at the same time. Of course, Mario's just setting down his 3rd command center now, so his economy is still just great. I mean, a 3-base Biomech Terran player can last a long time in a game. And
he went for pretty fast siege tanks here. He's already got 1 and a second one getting out here in just a minute. And, I mean, 11 to 12.5 minute timings, not an uncommon thing to see in Terran versus Zerg. When your opponent's on 3 bases, but, you know, in this situation, he did go for the double eBay. He's actually about to wrap up with those upgrades, and he's starting a late armory here, so I feel like Maru might be pushing out, assuming he does have siege tech completed.
And his siege tanks are done, and siege tech is not finished, so he hasn't even started it yet.
All right, so yeah, just a late armory there, just a minor mistake then from Maru, and in this situation, siege tech, combat shields, why not? Let's do it.
Well, speaking of why not, let's do it, well, other than ridiculous, like flinching Zergling. I don't know what was up with that. That's a lot of Banelings. This is a lot of Mutalisks up at the front to help deflect some of the damage too, and he's just going to try and duck directly into the 3rd in order to get his damage done. We mentioned Siege is not finished up yet, so he has no way to AoE down these units. He just has to split his forces up as much as possible. The Banelings have taken some massive hits, and Maru could take some significant damage, but he deals with what? I don't know what those Banelings were doing. They just decided to duck up the ramp and they didn't do any damage.
I mean, that was phenomenal out of Maru. Now he's going to be able to chase these Mutalisks away. Yes, he's definitely sustained some damage, especially losing that Banshee there at the end, and the 2 siege tanks, of course. But with the fact that he did not have siege tech there, it's incredible he held on.
Wow. Well, okay, so those banelings did nothing. Absolutely nothing. A few more missile turrets are forced to be put down, but, I mean, with Stim Marines, he's going to remain pretty safe against this relatively small group of Mutalisks. Back on JKS's side, he does have 4 bases running. He does have good creep spread, but he's behind in a lot of ways. He's behind in tech, he's behind in upgrades, and there's not a lot he can do at this stage of the game to continue pressuring, because if he tries another big all-in baneling push, now Siege Tech is done, now the upgrades are even better for Maru, and he's just not going to take any damage from it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, his Siege Tank count is a little low, but I do agree with you, Kevin. I mean, JKS, he went for a great attack there, tried to hit right as Baneling's being completed. I mean, we saw the Banelings, you know, turn from little waddlers to all of a sudden rolling balls of death, and then nothing happened. So Maru now is just in, I mean, his position was good, and then it was okay, and now JKS is playing really greedy, so it's definitely all over the place. But at this stage, I mean, there's not a ton of mutas on the field, so I guess that's one thing we can say that JKS could have going on a little better.
Sure. Well, the mutas do manage to pick off one of the missile turrets. They're going to try and duck in here and get a few worker kills, but there's a bunker, so those Marines that are inside are up to 6 range, and the Mutalisks then can't actually duck over to this side of the map. Total of 6 workers killed for him, though, and that economic damage to a Terran player is pretty inconsequential with when those can be replaced by mules. Mostly they're worried about everything that's inside of their refineries. Yeah, and at this point I'm looking, I mean, Maru, he's got a phenomenal, yeah, look at his production tab. I mean, he's got so much going on. +2/+2, +1 for his vehicle weapons, tons of Marines, and he's throwing down more turrets. Definitely could be gearing up for a push across the map here with these turrets finishing so that he won't have to leave as much at home to deal with the Mutalisk counters. But JKS is out on the map in quite force. A couple of Banelings going to be trying to sneak up here. And they're immediately target fired down by Maru Prime. So no damage taken whatsoever. Cleans up all of the Zerglings too, and all these Banelings that were made in the middle of the map now have to be used defensively, but Maru just has an amazingly strong push behind this, and he's probably going to take a 4th base here momentarily or so, I would assume. But his army is very well developed. Here comes the Zergling Baneling Mutalisk push, and the Banelings not really connecting all that well yet. Nice splits out of Maru, look at that! And he loses a couple of his tanks, yes, but he decimates the rest of his opponent's army, and Maru comes out once again with a big advantage. That was the best attack JKS could ask for, though, because 2-2 just finished, basically. I mean, the armor's done. And the timing there, Maru, I mean, if he had 2-2, he would have won that way more decisively. So, I mean, good job there as best he could from JKS, but not enough. And now the attack from Maru could potentially be the lead to the end of this game. He picks off the medevac at the very least, but look at all of his forces pulled out of position, and that allows these siege tanks to start moving up over the left-hand side. And immediately, an evacuation of this 4th base is called for by JKS. He's going to run in with Banelings, but they're coming in so slow, just one at a time. They're just not really connecting with that many units. Maru does lose a few units around the back, though. I didn't see the flank coming, and that was a pretty good maneuver by JKS, so he will be able to clean up at least this attack, and he's going to kill a bunch of medevacs on the way out. Or should I say a bunch of Stim Marines are going to come in and save this. Yeah, I mean, that was phenomenal, JKS. I actually can't even believe he just did that. But now, standing to lose all these Banelings, we'll see. Yeah, he's not going to be able to get away with any of those. And coming in with some Lings right now, but Ling Muta is only mediocre against Marines. And with these reinforcing Marines, these Lings are just going to melt. And the Mutalisks are going to have to fall back. The 4th base will fall. And in fact, GG is going to fall for JKS. All right, GG is called. And Maru manages to take the first game for Prime here in this best of 9. We mentioned before that he's very strong. He's capable of all kills himself. But does he have what it takes to take some more wins against arguably the best Team League team in the world right now in FXO? FXO is so strong. I want to see who they're going to bring out next. A lot of possibilities, a lot of scary things, actually. But, well, I hope you're not tired of Zerg players, because it's going to be Lucky. I like Lucky. I like Lucky a lot. He's a good player. So, folks, going to have another ZVT on our hands here in just a moment, but we're going to cut to a quick commercial break. We'll be back in about 2 minutes. I'm Kibbles. With me is Kevin Naki. We'll see you in a moment.